The future of Iraq's security is once again in the spotlight as the United States begins a gradual drawdown of its troops. What was once a coalition-driven fight against terrorism is now being reshaped into a direct partnership between Washington and Baghdad. The move, however, has raised fresh questions about whether the reduction of forces will stabilize Iraq or open space for new tensions, particularly with Iran watching closely. American officials confirmed that this transition is part of a two-year plan agreed upon in 2024. The United States insists that it is not walking away from Iraq, but instead adjusting its role. A spokesperson from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad described the change as a traditional bilateral security partnership, saying Washington's civilian-led counter-ISIS strategy will continue, not only in Iraq but across the region. According to Reuters, U.S. planners believe ISIS remains a dormant threat and must be contained through intelligence, training, and coordinated operations. Movements on the ground have already begun. Iraqi and international media report that U.S. forces are leaving Ain al-Assad Air Base in Anbar province and parts of Baghdad International Airport. Many of these troops are being redeployed to Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan, a location long considered safer and politically more favorable to the U.S. presence. As Associated Press noted, the final goal is a complete withdrawal of American combat troops by late 2026, though advisory missions will likely remain. Senior Iraqi officials have also spoken about the plan. Hussein Alawi, advisor to Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, said Iraq wants a balanced and sustainable relationship that includes security but also extends into economic and cultural cooperation. He highlighted the role of the Higher Military Committee, which was formed to oversee the timeline and ensure that the handover happens without destabilizing the country. The agreement breaks the process into two stages. The first stage, ending in September 2025, will see U.S. and coalition forces conclude activities at Ain al-Assad and Baghdad headquarters. The second stage, due in September 2026, will complete the military exit. Alawi told Al Jazeera that this is a sign Iraq is regaining normal bilateral ties with the U.S., something closer to what existed before the rise of ISIS in 2014. At present, around 2,500 American soldiers remain in Iraq. They mainly assist with intelligence, air support, and the training of Iraqi units. U.S. defense officials argue that this presence prevents ISIS from reorganizing, but political factions tied to Iran see it differently. They call the U.S. military footprint an occupation. Their anger has been sharp since the 2020 drone strike in Baghdad that killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani, an event that fueled anti-American rhetoric in Iraq's parliament and among militias. The friction did not end there. During the 2023 Gaza conflict, armed groups under the Islamic Resistance in Iraq carried out frequent rocket and drone attacks on U.S. bases, demanding a complete withdrawal. Analysts quoted in the Washington Post observed that these militias view the U.S. as blocking Iran's influence in Iraq, Syria, and beyond. They argue that if American forces leave, Tehran's allies in Iraq will gain even more ground. Adding to the complexity, Iraq recently signed a controversial security agreement with Iran. Reports in the New York Times suggest Washington is uneasy, fearing the deal might compromise Iraq's sovereignty and limit cooperation with the U.S. in the future. Critics inside America argue that Tehran could use the pact to tighten its grip on Iraq's security forces, making Baghdad more dependent on Iranian strategies and equipment. Iraq, however, has repeatedly assured that it seeks balance, not alignment. Officials point to the U.S.-Iraq Strategic Framework Agreement, which continues to serve as a roadmap for cooperation in defense, energy, trade, and education. Baghdad has also kept ties open with NATO, the United Kingdom, and other international partners, signaling that it does not intend to rely solely on either Washington or Tehran.